All right, it's time for another Walking Dead retro review. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
Continuing that she said a few episodes ago she was going to do the zombie intro every time, so she's like done it every time since, so let's see if she sticks to it. But we are the Podcasting Dead. We talk about different things, but, you know, largely The Walking Dead. It's how we started, and we try to keep that going for those that are still super fans of the show. We're going back to the beginning, talking about the show from episode 1 to current, which we are now at the end of season 4. Before we start, don't forget to find us on Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. We're also on iTunes. I know we kind of slacked on that for a while, but we are loading to iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. I'm about to get us on Amazon Music, so we are loading these to those platforms. I know there's a gap there, and if you're listening to this and you're like, well, where's the gap? You know, where's all the missing ones? You can find the whole collection over on YouTube from episode 1 to current. But also, before we begin, check out moviepalette.com. Use podcast 15 and get 15% off some really cool, dope art for your man cave, she shed, or just your living room. But anyways, we are talking today about season 4, episode 16. The episode is called A. It was directed by Michelle McLaren and written by Scott M. Gimple and Angela Kang together. And it originally aired March 30th of 2014. Jessi, give me your thoughts. You've made it to the end of season 4. What'd you think of the episode?
It was insane.
It was an insane episode. This is a wild one.
And I loved it. I loved it so much.
So we can, by your enthusiasm, am I correct in saying that we can probably just go ahead and rate the episode now before we get to the end? And just, what you giving it? 1 out of 5. A 10. A 10. I give this one a solid 5 too. It is a fantastic episode. It is high intensity. It is like, tell me about Rick's transformation, man. Like, he's become a straight savage.
Primal.
Primal.
He is becoming primal. And it's insane because, like, he does these things out of love for his son. And then his son looks at him like he's a monster. And it's like an ongoing thing the whole show so far.
Yep.
And it's just crazy because I would have done the same thing.
Oh, 100%. And it goes to like what our parents used to tell us. You know, they'd be like, you'll understand one day when you're a parent. And like, that's the things you'll do for your kid. I mean, that big dude was trying to do some awful things to Carl, and like Ricky boy just was not having it.
No.
So walk us through it, man, from the beginning. Like, what were your thoughts this episode? And for those of you just tuning in, I didn't mention it at the beginning. I normally do. Jessi's never seen this show, so that's why we're going back and revisiting each episode. Jessi is watching it for the first time. I've seen it a bunch of times, so I'm really focused on like what her thoughts are and just kind of getting that fresh perspective of like how it felt for us as longtime viewers of the show the first time we saw these episodes. So Jessi, just start at the beginning. Walk us through, man.
Well, first of all, it was really when it started because I was like, wait, did I skip back some? Because they started in the prison and everything was all hunky-dory, but
we thought the same. My family thought the same thing when we were all watching that. We were like, but you got to see Herschel again.
Yeah, I did.
It's bittersweet, man.
It made me miss him so much more.
It's bittersweet.
But, it is. But I really like how they did this, how they kind of like compared situation. Like, it was so really cool how they did that. I never would have thought to do that. But I liked seeing the different like scenes that we hadn't seen before and how they parallel to what's going on right now. And what else? I don't know. It was a roller coaster.
It was a roller coaster. How did you feel? I hate to skip to the end here because, you know,
I wanted to do the same thing.
It's a lot. I hate to skip to the end. It's a lot. But I mean, like, how did you feel? Like hats off to Daryl, man. Daryl, like, straight up, you know, as soon as he realized it was Rick and them, he just like straight up was willing to like volunteer his life for theirs. I mean, good old Daryl, man.
Are we surprised?
Not really.
No.
But, well, you know.
Not at all.
I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I think the last episode, when I was watching this as it aired on TV and Daryl got with these, ruffians, these scoundrels, these hooligans, I was like, oh no, Daryl's going to revert back to the camp Daryl. He's going to cut his hair shorter and go back to being racist and evil. And I just thought that that's where they were going. And I was like, man, don't undo his character building like that. He's come so far. And then, of course, as soon as he walks up and he sees what's going on, he's like, not having it. Like, nope, you can take me. They were short-lived, but what did you think of the Claimers as villains?
Like I said before, I did not like them. I thought they were going to be on here longer than that, but I'm glad they're gone because they're terrible people. Terrible people.
They are.
It's just like that one dude is Joe, the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he seemed so cool and down to earth at first, and then it was just like, no, he's not.
Yep.
And then he hunts down Rick for doing something that he does every day. Anyway, I don't know. I just didn't like them, especially how they treated Daryl when he came in, when Daryl was like literally minding his own business and they just want to gang up on him like that. And then after seeing that one dude with Carl, I was just like, not having it. And they were gonna let him do it.
Oh yeah. They're it just really shows you who they really were. Like, we knew they weren't good people to begin with, but like this really showed the depths of how bad they really are. Like, they're terrible people that do terrible things. And what kind of sucks though is one part of me, I'm glad that Rick did what he did, but I didn't like the Claimers. Well, I mean, I like them as villains because I dislike them so much. But I think that Joe, the leader, I think that he was interesting. I thought he was charismatic. I thought he was pretty good. Like, honestly, one hand, I'm glad they didn't drag it out, but on the other hand, I don't know. I think he could have been a good longer term villain.
I agree. That's why I didn't see them leaving so fast. Because I mean, like, I wanted to like him really bad.
Yeah, well, he showed kindness to Daryl. He like when the whole rabbit chopped in, like the rabbit thing and all of that, like he showed a little compassion and humility to Daryl. He had some weird ways of living in the new world, but he wasn't, I don't know, you thought maybe there was some decency in him. And then this episode, the fact that he's like, well, first we're going to have the boy, then we'll have the girl, then we'll kill Daryl, then we'll kill you and we'll be square. It's like,
no, that's not square.
No, that's not even at all. But I don't know, man. I just remember when, like, it shows Rick sitting there covered in blood. It was like, oh God, what? Which that's cool because the Claimers weren't in the comics, but like that whole scene of Rick biting someone's throat out was like, that was a straight pull from the comics. And can you kind of see now how Shane was wrong about what Rick's capable of?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like Officer Friendly is gone, I believe, and we have straight Savage Rick.
He is officer. I'm gonna do what it takes to survive. That's what he is.
100%. And also too, though, let's give Shane a little credit because I do think Shane had enough of an influence on Rick, though. I think that, in my opinion, having watched the show, having watching like the whole thing multiple times, I do think that Shane was a huge influence on him. I don't know, without Shane's presence in his life, I don't know if he would have gotten as savage as he is and as he becomes. I don't know. I think that he needed that. And also I think killing Shane really kind of put him to that point of like becoming a savage.
I agree. I think that Rick probably thinks about the fact that Shane said that he couldn't make the hard calls or whatever he said. I think that Rick thinks about that a lot.
Oh, I think that's got to be, a voice in the back of his head. Mm-hmm. Like, he's probably got that. And anytime he's in a hard situation, he probably has Shane's ghost in his ear telling him, you're not cut out for this. And I think that probably pushes him. And also, protecting his son, because Shane told him, he said, I don't think you can protect him. I don't think you can protect Carl. I don't, he basically told him, like, you're a terrible father. you're a terror. I can be a better husband, a better father than you. So I think all of that combined just pushes him to wherever he needs to go.
Yeah, he's like WWSD. What would Shane do?
He's got a little bracelet and everything. He's like,
yeah, he made it.
This is my what would Shane do bracelet. Every time some nutcase is trying to hurt me or my boy, I look at this and it gives me the strength I need.
Exactly. He made it out of zombie skin.
Are you picking a wedgie?
No, scratching my back.
Oh, does that look straight up like picking a wedgie face?
No. Sorry.
But anyways, no, I thought that, no, I think I just remember this episode being like, whoa, like just knocking my socks off. And then skipping further than that to the actual end of the episode, the gang's back together, but they found themselves in a pretty precarious situation.
Oh, first of all, I hate how that episode ended, like the line that Rick said.
Mm-hmm.
He said, they're going to feel real stupid when they find out. And I'm sitting here like, he has a plan. They done set up something on the outside. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be good. And then he's like, when they find out who they messing with or something like that.
You know what's funny
like,
is
no.
So and probably on the one that you saw, he says when they find out they're messing with the wrong people. But in the uncut version, he says when they find out they're with the wrong people. Like he actually. And what's interesting too is wait till later in the show. Like you haven't heard the first F-bomb yet because I think that they have to pay a fee. There's some stipulation to dropping F-bombs on like cable television. So towards the end of the show, you're actually going to start hearing the F-bomb quite a bit more.
I hope so.
We all need we need the F-bomb in our life, right? Like we know it's a bad word,
so.
but it's just the most relieving word to say in a time of stress.
It's like in the zombie apocalypse, there's definitely more cussing than what goes on the show.
Yeah, and it's like, they do cuss, but thank goodness it's not, it's like thank goodness they don't try to PG it up like too much. Like somebody dies and Rick's like, oh gosh darn it, they got down.
Yeah.
Gee golly, we just can't beat these walkers. That gosh darn governor.
Fiddlesticks.
Oh, fiddlesticks. The governor's back, y'all, and he killed Herschel.
Yeah, we don't want that.
But so what did you like when Rick and his group got to Terminus and they saw everybody with all of the gang's stuff on? Like, what did you think? Did you think that the gang was dead? What did you think?
I didn't think they were dead, but I knew something was up. I knew it. I freaking knew it. I think they're gonna eat them. I think that's why they put them in there. I think they're gonna eat them, and I think Rick. Sorry, I'm just like, I think Rick knew that when he saw the pocket watch and everything was coming together for him, and then he like hit the plate out of Carl's hand. I think he knew he was about to eat people.
Well, you notice too when they're running with the gunfire and everything, where they're like leading them to the car. If you notice, like they do pass like a cage that's got a bunch of bones and stuff in it. So I mean, there's definitely something going on here, and it definitely looks like Terminus is not the paradise they were pretending it was on the radio transmissions.
No, they're like, come here so we can eat you. We need to survive by eating your bones.
Which it seems to be doing. It seems to be working all right for them. Everybody looks fit and trim. They're all eating,
happy.
Isn't there though? Like, isn't there some like? I don't know, if you survive off eating people, I mean, isn't there something in cannibalism that can like drive you insane? Like if you're eating other people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure I've read that before. Like, obviously we know we're not meant to eat human meat, but I think that there are like some repercussions to your body if you eat too much human meat.
Probably. I don't know what, but not only because it's just human, but I think that we put so many chemicals in our body that maybe that would have some effect on the meat if you were to eat it.
It could.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like that meat is my meat on my bones. So, like, think of how it affects me just as a living person.
That's my meat. We're gonna call them the termites because they're from
that's
Terminus.
good.
We're gonna call them the termites. I don't think that that's a thing in the show, but that's what me and my friends group used to call them, the termites. So
Termites.
That's the termites. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call them. But the termites, man, there's definitely more going on here than me. And I'm interested for you to see too, because I'm gonna tell you, next episode, the premiere of season 5, it starts out like just. It's not one of those, because I hate when you have like an explosive finale and like everything's hitting the fan and then it'll leave you kind of on a cliffhanger, and then when it comes back it's all calm and like slow.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this is gonna come back and it's gonna be. I can't believe that we're about to start season 5. I cannot believe that. I mean, Jessi, you're almost halfway through the show.
I don't want to be. Like, I don't want it to end now.
Well, thank goodness you've got a long ways to go. And believe me, there are some story arcs that you are going to really be ready for them to end. So.
Yeah.
But it is going to be interesting. So let's kind of recap where we are. Beth is missing. Carol and Tyrese are not, around. We know that we saw Daryl's poncho. We saw Glenn's watch. I think something of Maggie's. And so getting in the train car, we know they're all there. And you got to remember, too, this is Rick's first time meeting Glenn's new friends.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Well, I was wrong about them from the get-go. So,
that's right, because you thought they were going to just straight up be bad guys, didn't you?
I did. They looked like bad guys.
They definitely had that menacing. I could see, if I didn't read the comics, I could definitely see thinking like there's going to be something more to them. But they're actually, as you can see now, they're with the group. They're not bad guys, and I like them.
I do too. I do really like them. I like Eugene the most because he's so weird.
Well, and I figure, that makes sense for you. That makes sense. Knowing you a long time, you genuinely have an appreciation for people who are of the weird variety.
That's why I love you so much.
But no, you also, my favorite in that group is Abraham. I just can't wait for you to get to know him better. Like he's such an awesome character, man. Michael Cutlitz is the guy that plays him. And he does such a good job, which you've actually seen Michael Cutlitz probably in other stuff. You might not recognize him with the red hair and the beard, like the red face hair, but he's actually been in quite a bit. He's had a lot of really different roles, but so you'll I'm excited for you to get to know some of these characters more. Some of the characters aren't going to make it. Some will, but so yeah.
Who do I think is going to die?
Yeah, true. Who do you think is going to be the next big character death? I mean, it's got to be somebody. Beth?
Yeah. And
what makes you think that?
Because she's missing and we don't like her. Also, because because of that one episode that it was just all her and Daryl, and they just spent a lot of time on her, so I feel like they're going to kill her off now.
Don't forget Daryl's foreshadowing laying in the coffin.
Daryl can't die.
Anyone can die on this show.
No, remember, because the people will riot.
Not my
we
dare
don't want
bear.
That.
Not your dare bear. No, but so all right, so you say Beth.
Yeah.
And I will say, so luckily with Beth, you will learn where she's gone, because I'm sad to say there are moments in this show, and at least one character I can think of, I feel like maybe it's happened more than once, but if it hadn't, I know for sure once. But there is going to be a time where somebody goes missing and legit the show ends with zero explanation of where they went.
I mean, that's how the zombie apocalypse would really be, though. There would be so many unanswered questions.
That's a good point. That is a good point. I mean, in real life, people probably would just go missing and you'd never find out where they went or what happened to them.
Yeah.
They were in the woods scouting for food and broke their leg and just never, wouldn't it be anticlimactic if you had a character that went missing for 5 episodes? When they go back, it's just turns out Barry just went trouncing through the woods. He fell down this here ravine and broke his leg. Looks like he starved to death. Damn.
Yeah.
Pour a drink out for him.
That would be funny.
But yeah, so we are now in Terminus, and despite all of the radio calls of, those who arrive, survive, and salvation for all, we see that salvation is not for all. In fact, it doesn't look like it's for very many people.
No. I want to know what their process is for people who don't sneak in like Rick and them did. I want to know. Like, how do they go from being so chill with them having their weapons and not taking their weapons and just whatever? How did they go from that to making these people get in this car? I mean, the box truck or whatever it was.
The box car.
How does it go from one to the other? Like, at what point did these people realize that they're not safe? Like, I want to know what happens.
Well, you know what? I will tell you next episode, because it's not necessarily explained on the show, but the writers did explain how the termites operate, like kind of what their procedure is and what their plan is, and it's actually pretty interesting. So I'll tell you that next episode, because I don't want to spoil anything or talk about them too much, because you'll get to know them a little bit more next episode. I thought that scene was really awesome, though. We talked about it earlier. Rick smacks the plate out of his hand and holds the dude at gunpoint and everything. Well, I thought that was tense, man. I remember that being super tense when they had them all, when it was like they had them lined up and he was like, all right, the archer, get in the car, and it was like the samurai, and when Carl was walking between Rick and the car, I just kept waiting. I was like, oh, something's gonna happen. They gonna shoot Carl. That was really well done because it was so tense.
It was, and I really like how the dude gave them all nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice little touch, but I did think that they were gonna kill Carl.
This episode is a lesson in suspense building. Like, this episode really is like the writing on, which is funny because you got Scott Gimple, who I've said, you've heard me trash talk him before. He makes some really stupid decisions as showrunner in the future of the show. But we also forget in all of our Scott Gimple bashing that Scott Gimple has given us some of the best moments of The Walking Dead. He gave us the season 4 mid-season finale. He gave us this episode. And it's interesting because I've told you, Jessi, before that Angela Kang ends up being showrunner down the road. And it's just cool that they wrote this episode together. So, and Angela Kang they both have their pros and cons. But so this is definitely one of those episodes you won't forget. And let me just tell you, next episode starts off with a bang.
I'm excited. I cannot wait to see how they get out of that truck.
If they get out.
They will.
They're
going to get out.
They might not.
They might lose a character or two. I think maybe Rosita.
Jessi, do not kill my beautiful Rosita that quick.
She's okay.
No, however much longer she's got left in this show, I can promise you'll end up liking her. I know you. I know you and the characters you seem to gravitate towards. Homegirl's one of them.
I'm not trying to dislike her. I just feel like they can't kill off anybody from the original group. I just can't see that happening. So I had to pick one of the three.
Lots of sadness ahead for you then.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so next episode next episode's going to start off with, this is not a big spoiler. Next episode's going to start off with a little exposition, but it's going to soon start with a bang. Like, next episode is great. And this episode was like peak Walking Dead. Like, I had a buddy, well, you know him, I had Cameron, who was like you. He didn't start watching the show when it came out, but then he got into it. I think we were currently in like season 3 or maybe the beginning of 4 when he finally caught up and was watching it episode week to week. And I remember my parents had this, it was like a Super Bowl party for the season 5 premiere. The next episode you're about to watch. Back in, I guess, 2015, man. It was so cool. Like, we had snacks, and like Cameron came over, and you know, I had Caitlin over there, and it was like my sisters had a friend or two over there. My mom had a friend or two over there. Like it was like a Super Bowl party for the season 5 premiere.
That sounds way better than a Super Bowl party.
I don't know. Super Bowl parties are banging.
Mm,
You ain't been to the right Super Bowl parties.
Not my cup of tea.
I need to throw you a Super Bowl party proper. Like a proper Super Bowl party.
When is the Super Bowl?
Next month, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's usually near my birthday. So, like, nobody's worried about throwing me a party because they're just worried about Super Bowl parties.
Jessi's like, I hate football because I want my birthday celebrated.
I want a birthday party.
I'm sure Kelly's going to throw you a birthday party.
I don't know.
If she ever watches this, hint, hint, Kelly.
Oh, she doesn't watch it, so.
What? That is absurd. You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me that Kelly does not watch or listen to these podcasts?
No, she doesn't. If she runs out of things to listen to, like she's sick of listening to music at work, and most of the time she'll be like, "Hey, what podcast do you listen to right now?" And she'll listen to the same one. A couple of times she's put this on, but like she doesn't watch, so she doesn't know what we're talking about. But I'm like, you can at least like comment, because that helps, and like it, and just let the whole thing play through, because that helps.
That helps a lot. Yeah. Speaking of which, like, comment, all of that stuff helps a growing channel tremendously. More than you know, just a simple little click.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're so close to 5,000 subscribers. I would love to get a few more subscribers. So, you know, if you subscribe, I promise we won't bug you too bad. So just like subscribe, like, and even maybe hit share. But to be fair, my fiance doesn't want to listen to these either. She did. She did when the channel started, when it was me, Maddie D, and JP. She used to listen to them because that's when she was really into The Walking Dead, and her mom used to listen to them, and like my dad used to listen to them. And then somewhere along the line, people just got bored with me and quit listening.
Aww.
I'm pretty boring, so you
know.
No,
you're not.
I am an old boring man. So
I disagree.
Isn't it crazy? Gosh, for those long-term listeners, it's crazy that we're getting close to 10 years that we launched this channel.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
And we had ours before this, right?
Yep, that was the same year, because right when that one ended is when this one began.
The birth of it all.
Mm-hmm.
We are like different people now. It's crazy.
It is. It is. We are different people. But we still love The Walking Dead here on this channel.
Well, I'm a new lover of Walking Dead, so still different.
And if you don't get caught up on The Last of Us, Jessi, I'm gonna give you, the next time our daughters have dance class together, I'm gonna sit there and give you the disappointed dad look like this. When you come in and sit beside me and you're like, "What's up, yo?" I'm just gonna look at you and be like,
"Don't do that." But I did look up where I can watch them, and it's more places than HBO. So I'm hoping I can figure out a way.
I think it would be dope if you at least, if nothing else, if you could just catch up enough to do the season finale podcast, because there's only going to be 8 or 9 episodes this season, which don't get me wrong, I would much prefer you just get caught up like right now and start jumping on the Sunday live streams. But bare minimum, I need you to promise me you'll at least be on the finale podcast.
I cannot make any promises.
Jessi, you can promise me.
I don't even know how you have time for this, because I could sit here all day and say, I don't have time. But you have like 100,000 more things going on than I do. So I can't make that excuse.
Right. So what you can make is a promise right now to your boy that you will at least be a guest spot. At least you'll pop in for a little while, if nothing else, on the finale podcast.
Okay.
If you want, you could always come over here one night and like watch an episode, and then come over the next night or a night or two later and watch another episode. I mean, it can get you caught up on them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. We'll figure it out. Because I do want to watch it, and I want it to be on the whole thing, every podcast after.
I want you on there too.
But life.
Nay. All right, well, we've already rated the episode, so we can't end it with that, but I think it's safe to say, Jessi, that we both agree this is a knocked it out of the park episode. This is one of those, like, when you look back on the show and you're thinking about it, this will definitely be something you'll think about.
Yeah.
Such good character
that time
development.
Rick bit somebody's throat out.
Cool fact, too, before we go, he actually had raw chicken in his mouth for that. He told the directors or creators or somebody he wanted it to look as real as he could. So I think they said like beef or chicken, and he said chicken. And what's interesting, though, is that if you watch the episode, the way they did it, you really can't see that much of the meat coming out of his mouth because of the angle they shot it in the shadows. It's like you can tell something comes out, but you really can't get a look. He could have spit out a wad of paper and you wouldn't have really been able to tell a difference.
What? That's worse than raw chicken.
That's acting, baby.
Oh, gross.
But thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. If you enjoyed this, again, don't forget you can catch us on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, soon Amazon Music. We got an invitation to be on that, so I need to fill that paperwork out so we can put the link over there. Also, don't forget to find us on Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. That helps to support the channel because this stuff here ain't cheap. And we've got to get Jessi a Shure MV7X or just a plain MV7, I believe, because we wanted to do both. Anyways, we got to get Jessi a nicer mic because y'all don't know the struggle that goes on before we start these podcasts of just getting her mic to work. So super thanks helps. You can jump into the live stream, super chat, all that good stuff helps so very much. But in the meantime, I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dad. Adios.
Bye.